UFC Fight Night Moicano versus Duncan. I'm going to be going through the full card and breaking it down for you and giving you my best bets for this card. Here are the last two cards because I didn't get a video up for, I believe, last card and I did get a video up for the card before, but here's both of them. See how my picks did. I went 10 for 13, then went for 8 for 13, which is okay, but hey, we low-key got a little bit slaughtered, but still pretty upset about that Baja Monday situation with Dakota Hope versus Kai Kamaka. This fight should be a pretty good fight. Dakota Hope filling in on short notice, but here's the thing. He was in camp to fight another guy for a belt on May 17th. For May 17th. Here's my prediction. Kamaka, he's making his second run at the UFC. In my opinion, he isn't good. He shouldn't even be coming back to the UFC. The guys he's faced are he's 4-6 in his last 10. The guys he's faced aren't that good, and they're all on massive losing streaks. Dakota Hope, he's actually fighting solid guys. He is Van's training partner. He is very well rounded. He's either gonna get the early KO in round 1, or he's gonna win a decision. I think him at an underdog is crazy because how can you have a guy who is younger and more hungry to get into the UFC than a guy making his second run at it and who hasn't been facing the best guys? So the pick will be Dakota Hope by KO in round 1. Barboza and Gatto. Gatto, she's solid. She either wins by KO here or she is getting dominated by Barboza, which I have Barboza winning easily. I think her striking's better. Her takedowns are better. Overall, everything's better except power-wise. So the pick will be Barboza by decision. Azamat, Tresean Gore. This fight is a very easy fight to judge. We're going to go Azamat KO round 1. Azamat's better striker, better everything except for sub-wise. Tresean Gore did make a statement saying he is coming out and he's tired of being disrespected. Yes, he shouldn't be disrespected, and in my opinion, I think he should be getting better quality guys because he's coming off the Ultimate Fighter, and his record isn't big to begin with, so I think they should kind of try to build him up a little more, but I guess if you want to feed him to Azamat and try to get him out of the UFC, that's what the UFC wants, right? Azamat by KO round 1. Haley Cohen, Alice Pereira. This fight is a little hard. Alice Pereira, she sucked in her first fight. In my opinion, it's way too early. I'm going to make a whole separate video on this discussing why she's in the UFC and not Juliana Martinez, which still baffles me to this day. Juliana Martinez should be in the UFC and is going to be a future champ in the women's division, unlike Alice Pereira, where she is like a year or two younger than her and she's still not. Juliana Martinez should be in the UFC is what I'm saying. Alice Pereira is being rushed. When she got originally signed on Christmas, I believe a year or two ago, I was like, that is a bad decision. I was told that it's a good decision for the UFC, but I think she's being rushed. Haley Cohen should win this by decision. I think her wrestling, her striking is way better. Alice Pereira looks really lost in there, even when if she gets pushed back, she's on the back foot, she is going to look lost in there, which Haley Cohen will do. Haley Cohen by decision is the pick. Lando and Darius Flowers. This fight, pretty solid fight, to be honest. Darius Flowers shouldn't win the fight. Lando, he has really solid striking, throws a lot of crazy stuff at times, but overall, I think his wrestling and his striking will be enough to beat a guy like Darius Flowers, who is 0-3 in the UFC. Alessandro Costa versus Stuart Nickel. So, Alessandro Costa is that guy low-key in this fight. Nickel was way behind in his last fight against Lucas Rocha, where he was getting pieced up on the feet, he was going for takedowns, and he just physically couldn't get anything. He couldn't get anything going in that fight. I did have him as a solid underdog in his last fight, but I'm not going to really let that decision-making affect this pick because Alessandro Costa is way better here. The only way I see Costa losing is if he's getting taken down for 3 rounds, but I don't think so. I think even then he's going to threaten a sub and possibly get him out of there, but Alessandro Costa by decision will be the pick just due to him being better. Thomas Peterson, and then we got Pat. This is another pretty easy fight for me. To be honest, I'm not going with a Thomas Peterson who only wants to wrestle and clinch. I'm going to go with the more heavy-handed guy who's going to want to strike, who's going to defend the takedowns, and overall go for the finish. They both do gas in the third round, so I probably will go Pat just by him being a little taller. He's going to use his distance, and overall he's probably going to find Peterson's chin pretty easily. Robert Ruchachala, I don't know how to say that, over Jose Delino. Delino, he had a really good performance on Dana White's Contender Series, had a solid scrap, and overall just outclassed the guy. Robert, he was solid in his last fight, did pretty good, but at the same time, he didn't do enough to win against William Gomez, who was a very good prospect. But I think he loses two guys like Jose Delino just because they are so technical and they're just going to outstrike him easily. The pick will be Jose Delino by decision. Tommy McMillan and this Italian guy. The Italian guy sucks, man. I'm huge on Tommy, but here's the thing. I watched his last fight against Morgan Charry, and pretty much I feel like Tommy does have some holes in his game, and I do think he will improve that. But here's the thing. This other guy sucks. His chin is so easy to find, and I think Tommy's going to get him out of there in the first round. Overall, I just don't believe in Zucchini at all because he has good striking. He has the potential to knock out McMillan, but McMillan should go out there, find Zucchini's chin so easily, and just walk him down and have maybe a little bit of a war. But overall, it should be a pretty easy fight for Tommy. Either it's a sub or a KO in the first round. I think it'll be a KO in the first round. I think he's going to try to go out there and make a statement by KO. So the pick will be Tommy McMillan by KO round 1. Rafael Esteban, Ethan Ewing. Okay, so Ethan Ewing's a good prospect, but I'm not sold on him. He looked good against Wellmaker, who I had Wellmaker, but doesn't matter because he looked good. But when you go against a guy who's throwing the same combos over and over, and you're finding his chin, you're finding the shots, but if you're not kind of showing that you're dominating him and you're kind of letting him get back into the fight, I feel like you're not the best kind of prospect. Yes, it was short notice, but at the same time, Ethan Ewing definitely should have realized that he could just be piecing up this guy the whole time, but he was letting Wellmaker actually land some good shots and actually bring himself back into the fight. I'm not saying Wellmaker could have won the fight. I'm saying he allowed him to land those shots and land some big shots that made him still motivated to still try to go for that finish. And if that one shot right to the Ethan's chin, if that actually had enough power to it and landed perfectly, he probably would have been knocked out. But he has a solid chin. I'm just not impressed by him at all. Rafael Esteban, though, has good striking, has good wrestling, and overall, I think he is a step ahead of Ethan Ewing. So I'm going to go at Rafael Esteban by decision, by a dominant decision, 30-27. Should be a pretty easy fight for Rafael Esteban. I'm not even going to try to say these guys' name. Bredson Rivero is going to lose this fight, though. He sucks. He's a can, and it should be around 1 finish for Abdul. Verna and Tabitha Ricci. I'm going to go Verna here because Verna's just way better. Her striking's better. Her wrestling's up there with it, but at the same time, she has good wrestling, good takedowns, good wrestling defense. Overall, she's very solid. She has good cardio. She's coming off a 5-round fight to she did lose to Mackenzie Dern, but Tabitha Ricci, damn, I can't speak. Ricci, she is very solid. She has good wrestling. She has solid striking, but here's the thing. She is not that good. I think she is very overhyped. In her last fight, she beat... I'm totally blanking, but I think that was a very overrated win, and she did lose to Zan, which shows kind of Vern is better than Zan, and overall, I think Verna should easily win this fight because I think Ricci is just not... She's just not ready for the top 5 or even getting close to the belt because her striking needs work still. Her wrestling and everything still needs some work because I think she is a really solid prospect, but at the same time, she does need some work. Verna by decision is the pick. And on Chris Duncan, this is going to be a really fast pick. Chris Duncan, way more tough. He's very tough. Moicano, I feel like he is going to quit here. Unless he gets Duncan to the ground, then he probably get a sub, but I'm going to go Chris Duncan round 1 KO just because he's so much better than Moicano in my opinion, and he's just so tough. I didn't have a lock parlay last week. I had one for myself, but I didn't put it out, so we're not going to include it. But if you are wondering, it did not hit. Barboza moneyline plus Duncan moneyline at plus 155 is what I got it at. But if you were to bet it now, it is at plus 189. So it is way higher than it was for me. If you do want to play that, go ahead. I think Barboza is going to go out there and dominate. I think Duncan's going to go out there and dominate. I usually try to stay away from main event money lines, but I think Duncan should have a pretty straightforward win here. There will be a video coming out about next week, hopefully Wednesday, Thursday, for UFC 327, I believe, Yuri versus Olberg, which will be a banger.